Now, one of the first things that really blew my mind as we're reading through this gospel, again, this is John chapter 11, is the humanity of Jesus Christ, the utter humanity of Christ. And we see it in two ways. The first way that we see it is Christ praying to God that these people actually believe who he is, right? And then the second place for me is where we see Christ cried at the death of Lazarus, showing feeling and emotion. So let's go into the first thing. In John chapter 11, there is a point where Jesus is coming back after hearing about the death of Lazarus, right? And he's right before the tomb and he's about to tell Lazarus to come on out, right? But before he did that, he prayed and he looked up to the heavens and he said the following. He said, "Father, I thank you for hearing me. I know that you always hear me, but because of the crowd here, I have said this, that they may believe that you sent me." When I read that today, it just made me realize how, I don't know, this is going to be very controversial, maybe hard for some of you to hear, but part of me feels like Jesus was kind of getting sick of these people. Not getting sick of them as in oh, I'm tired of y'all, but it's just kind of all throughout the gospel leading up to this point, right? Jesus is performing all these miracles. He's healing people. He is making people walk and making blind people see again. He's raising up people from the dead. The little girl who had fallen asleep, right? He looked at the girl. She's asleep. She was dead. He says, "Get up, little girl, get up and rise." And she woke up, right, from the dead. He's already done these things before. And it was always interesting how after he did certain miracles, he would tell the person he performed the miracle on, he would say, "Don't go and tell anybody." And the first thing they did was tell people, right? So then it just made me feel like Christ was doing all of these things and he knew who he was, but the people didn't know who he was. And there's a little frustration in this to me, right? In the lead up to the healing of Lazarus, to the raising of Lazarus, Jesus was told that Lazarus was dying. And when he found this out, instead of going right away to Lazarus, he stayed behind for 2 days, wherever he was. He was out with his disciples and stuff. He stayed where he was. And then he went forward to go ahead and deal with Lazarus. And our pastor brought something up really interesting. He said that Christ did this, if you want to equate it to today's terms, right? We have the term of going viral, right? He wanted to get views and eyeballs on this miracle he was about to perform because he wanted as many people to see it. He wanted to make sure that this thing that he was about to do would finally show and to tell people, look, I am from the one who sent me. I am the Son of Man. I am God. I'm the Christ, right? And he did these things. He did this particular things to get as many people as possible to see, right? And how do we know that was kind of one part of his plan? Because he prayed this, what I just exactly read to you in scripture. "Father, I know that you hear me. You always hear me. And I am here to ask you to let these people see that I was sent from you. This miracle that I'm about to perform, this is to be the thing that will make them say, wow, this is the Christ." What ended up happening? A week from today is Palm Sunday. We welcome him into the city with open arms. And then by the end of the week, we kill him,